2 games this week with Davenport on Thursday and then Rockhurst on Sunday. Obviously, Davenport is new to NCAA play, but not new to having a lacrosse team. They did a good job in the MCLA, and they actually bring a wealth of age as well as Canadian influence. So it should be a little bit of an interesting game over in Pueblo on Thursday. And then obviously a larger matchup for NCAA tournament hopes as well as regional rankings with the Rockhurst game coming up on Sunday. Both teams are obviously really talented, and I will say it will be nice to stay in the state of Colorado, even though we have to go over to play Davenport on the Front Range. To be able to play at home on Sunday, to stay local, I think is a blessing, and our guys are excited to hopefully get some good weather to get out and compete both games this week.
What's been kind of, you have had a couple weeks off now, what's been kind of the point of emphasis in practice, going from those 2 games that ended up being easier matchups with Adams State and CSU Pueblo, moving into an opponent that's brand new, and then having kind of a renewed rivalry with Rockhurst.
Right.
So what's been the point of emphasis?
I think not killing each other. We started the season with 2.5, 3 weeks of practice, and then we played, 3 games in a 6-day period, and then we come back home and we have another 10 to 12 days off, and then play 2 games, and now it's back to another 10 days off before playing again. And when you're dealing with men and testosterone and all the other things that spring weather will also bring, sometimes you get a little stir crazy. And so as much as it might seem like a joke, I think that has been the focus this week is all the energy, all the excitement to go out and play again. We know what we have coming up. Not just these 2 games this week. The next 5 games are really our NCAA season. We're not dumb. We've been paying attention to winning each day, but also, with our peripheral vision, looking out onto the forefront and seeing what's out there. And so we know where it is now, and I think now we're really just ready for that first whistle to blow on Thursday so we can just get into playing. Because when you don't have many days in between games, like after Thursday, we'll have Friday, Saturday to prep. With minimal time to prep, you're really not thinking about a whole lot other than yourselves and how can you make your team individually better, moving into game planning for a day or 2 and then right into games. And so, excited. I would say, again, try not to beat each other up too bad, but also just sheer excitement to get out there and to keep competing. I think this team has a lot to prove still this season, and, this is an opportunity to do such this weekend with 2 quality opponents.
Questions?
You got 2 RMAC wins out of the gate kind of early in the season. How does that feel to kind of hit that threshold and get a couple wins in conference play? As you said, the kind of bigger games are coming up here, but to have that kind of in the bank already, how does that feel for this team?
Yeah, I think it was good. It was nice. It was nice to play, again, at home in the month of February, something we really don't do a whole heck of a lot of. And so to have the ability to play at home was nice. To play RMAC opponents is always a good thing. And to get some younger guys opportunities to play last Friday and Sunday, I think were also good for our program. It gave us a chance to, from a coach's perspective, to take a step back and really kind of refocus and analyze our players and the depth of where we are and who's continued to improve, who hasn't. So it was nice to get that measuring stick in the middle of the season or more towards the front end of the season this year.
Guys, obviously you went on a long road trip right off the bat, and then, like Coach said, you did have a long time to come back and wait. What did you kind of learn from that first trip?
You learn a lot about each other from those trips. You're spending every waking moment with each other. It's a great bonding moment, and obviously winning builds a character and then brings you all together like nothing else can. So we had times, we had big games coming up, and it brings each other together just in the sense of with those games, everyone's focused on one thing and just zoning in on that one thing. Really, when you have a successful day, after zoning into that, everybody's fired up, and definitely you learn a lot about each other just in terms of, what each other will do for each other when that moment's on the line.
Develop a little bit of trust.
100%.
I thought, the trip was good. We really developed our bond together, and when we were playing St. Leo, someone said that this team kind of looked like they acted and talked like a family, and that meant a lot to us because in Florida it was just us against the world, and we really showed it. And we had a good spark in that game, and coming back and having this little break, it's really showing if our team is up to the big challenge, because we haven't been necessarily challenged enough yet, and it's going to be interesting to see what we can do against a great opponent.
And what I'll add to that too is in practice this week we tried to create, or the past couple weeks, we've tried to create scenarios where we learn something about our team, both from the player-to-player perspective and from the coaches to players' perspective as well. As both JR and Vinny alluded to, we think we're a pretty good lacrosse team. We haven't been tested yet, so how are we going to handle pressure when pressure is surrounding us? And so we've tried to implement a few things in the past couple weeks in practice to simulate some of that. Nothing simulates that the same as gameplay and looking up at the scoreboard and being on the south end of the score with time winding down. So hopefully we don't ever find ourselves in that position, but we tried to influence our thought process and kind of give us a little bit of that to work around in the past few weeks of practice, and I think that's maybe helped us to identify, at least from the coaching perspective, who we are and where we are and who might be good to use in those certain types of spots.
You've really got to do that with as much time as you have between games. You got to come up with something to keep them, like you said, from killing each other, but to keep practice interesting. I mean, you can't just do the same thing day after day, right?
Yeah, and to be this talented and to achieve what we're trying to achieve, you have to be hyper competitive. You have to go in every day and just put your nose to the grind. And so, coach is coming up with great schemes day in and day out to really make us battle each other, but not to the extent of too far where we kill each other, but just close enough that it's worth our time.
The face-offs have been outstanding for you guys. 80%, I think that's third best in the country, and you guys have one of the third most percentage, or not third most, 100%.
Yeah.
Face-offs you guys.
Yeah.
That's been a real important part of you guys' games. Colin and Cole have done an outstanding job. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, both those guys have been phenomenal to start. When you're a freshman, you don't really know what the college game's really like. And in every other, Vinny plays D, so he's got 3 other defensemen around him as well as a goalie and 2 short stick defenders. JR's got, 2 other attackmen and 3 midfielders around him. That face-off position is so similar to wrestling where it's a one-on-one type of thing. Yeah, you've got wings that help, but so much is dictated the moment that ref blows the whistle. And so there's nothing for those freshmen to do to get prepared for it other than playing games. And again, we can simulate that through practice, et cetera, but after 5 games, both of those guys being upwards of 70%, I think is phenomenal for us. As we've been telling them, it's really going to show now how talented we may be. Zach Bordeaux and Sal Valvita that we face on Sunday are 2 of the best in the country as well. Brodus from Lynn, who we play next Friday, is the #1 guy in the country at like 90% right now. And then the next kid against Tampa is another 80% guy. So we're going to find out how talented we really are. And from a coach's perspective, obviously you want to win as high as percentage as possible, but our team goal has always been to be above 50%. We feel like if we're winning more than 50% of the faceoffs, we're getting more than 50% of the starting possessions. And so we feel that we should be able to do something with the ball. If you're not winning 50% of possessions, now you're kind of playing a little bit from behind, and every possession becomes that much more valuable. So we'll see. We'll see how talented we are, but absolutely at this point right now, we all are very pleased that we're playing less defense than we should or we would be playing, and we're playing a lot more offense on JR's side. So those are the types of things that happens when that face-off's being dictated the way that it's being done.
And you just mentioned that you're facing 4 of the top 10 face-off guys in the country. Are you guys going to look to throw some wrinkles in on the wings to not make Cole and Colin have to win it to themselves every single time?
Yeah, you and I talked about this last week a little bit about the piece you did on Cole. It really is dependent on what's going on at that face-off X. Cole is 5'11", 170 pounds. Zach and Sal for Rockhurst are 6'2", 220 and 235 pounds. There is a lot of physics that we are losing in that situation. Colin Seedorf, 6 foot, 190, almost 200 pounds, is a little bit of a different type of option. And so how the whistle blows will dictate what we do with the wings. And then when that whistle is blown, what we are seeing is also going to dictate how we use our wing play. But right now we're going to come into it straight up 50-50, like we always start the first face-off of every game, and we're going to see how it goes. And hopefully we can develop an edge so we can start to dictate the pace. Because, you know, Coach, Mr. Yankee's been around here long enough to know we've been on the bad side of face-off battles sometimes, and it's never a good place to be where every time the ball's put on the ground, you're only getting it 15 to 20% of the time, you know. So if we can keep that thing around 50, we're feeling a lot better about it, whether we're using the wings or we're individually winning those face-offs.
And JR, you're second in the country, assisted being 4.2, outstanding. If you could describe your style of play this year and kind of how it's been compared to years past, how would you sum that up?
I certainly have a different role on this team coming in than years past. But I've always been a ball carrier. I've always been a pass-first type of player. But, I mean, like you said, up there with assists in the nation only happens if guys are finishing the ball. And so a lot of that has to do with trust with teammates. And while we're going, you know, if I feel I can throw it to guys while they're open, or, you know, if they're not necessarily 100% open, but it's a tight fit, if I feel I can make that pass, this team has proven that, you know, throw it. And we're getting, like we said, the face-offs are coming our way right now, so we have those extra possessions. So I feel comfortable in forcing the issue at times and just dictating play more. I've always been the quarterback style, and I'm a loud guy. I'm out there. I'm trying to dictate what our offense does. And then as far as my actual feeding, you know, that just comes from, you know, while we play, if the option's there, we're going to take it.
One thing I would add to that is, you know, we've never really had a feeder-first type mentality attackman. You know, Cal Ketchum was 50-50. Reese Callies was a little more feed than shoot. Steve Bradenberg was heavy shoot. And so having a guy like JR who, when he hits the field, he wants to put the ball in his other teammates' hands in positions to score is something that's a blessing, especially for me as a coach's perspective, because you know, we all know I like to play fast and aggressive, but we've never really had that guy at X who, when the ball is transitioned through to him in transition, in 6v6, in fast break play, that's looking to get the ball back to his teammates as much as we've had with JR. And having him has really been a blessing to have the vision, but more than the vision, the guy that wants to get the ball out of his stick to his teammates. That's got to be a typo, though. There's no way he's number 2 in the country.
All right, we're going to give you last week's question of the week.
All right.
Look, you guys are done playing lacrosse. You're done coaching lacrosse. What's your number one spring break destination?
Price is no object.
Price isn't an object.
Come back to me.
All right. I'm going somewhere on the beach in Italy. Somewhere South Italy, Sicily.
Probably the Caribbean somewhere. Let's just call it St. Martin.
All right, pressure's on.
I'm going to say Bahamas.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.